There are all these diets. There is the keto diet. There is the low carb diet. There are lots of these diets, but I differentiate them from a Mediterranean diet. This is not one more diet. It actually is a way of living that has been proven in the long term to be sustainable. To me, a diet, at least the way I look at it is anything that you can do for a short time is a fad. Okay, but most people cannot stick to some of these diets like a keto diet for too long. Is just not very practical. Whereas one can be on the Mediterranean diet for the rest of their lives. What are some of those weaknesses of the Indian diet? There are a lot of strengths in the Indian diet, but it's not a surprise that India is the heart disease and the diabetes capital of the world. Adaptation of the Indian diet so you get the best of both worlds, right?
Very true. We all started blaming fat one fine decade in 1990s and 2000, if you know that. We said that fat is bad. People have stopped using ghee on the pulkas and then oil in tadkas. It became a villain in our kitchen. And then specifically we said we eat oil-free food, we eat this and that. Gradually in these 2 decades you have noted and we have started promoting fat as a healthy fat. We felt fat is important. 30% of your calories should come from fat. And this changed the perspective from the Mediterranean diet. Because fat is essential for me, but the problem when you get a lot of vascular challenges, inflammation, mind, body, gut, everything is because of you have added a lot of omega-6 in your fat. How does this omega-6 come in the diet? When you expose the oil to a higher temperature. And that's what went wrong with our diets in these 2 decades. We started eating a lot of street foods. Food which is being exposed to a higher temperature. We started looking at baking or microwaving, tandoori, grilling, these aspects of food as a very healthy way because it is oil-free. But if you're exposing any food, any fat to a high temperature, to an open environment, it oxidizes very easily. And that is the culprit because it increases your omega-6. And when omega-6 increases in your diet, omega-3 goes down. Because omega-3 is essential. These 2 are essential fatty acids. Omega-6 and omega-3 are essential. Your body needs it. You have to take it from the food. And if you are going in imbalance of it, the US dietary pattern says the ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 is 10. Indian also is not behind. We are also 10 to 15. What is expected? 2:1. For every 2 omega-6, we need 1 omega-3. But we are at 10 and almost 1. Either reduce your omega-6 or increase your omega-3. Either way, we need to work on that. So this Mediterranean diet promoted a lot of nuts, 30 grams, 40 grams of nuts. So almond, walnuts. So all those nuts were promoted in it, which I think we do not eat it much. I mean, we didn't realize it that nuts are so significant contributor of good fats. What we looked at is cooking oil. We were all interested in which oil, how much oil, refined oil, filtered oil. But what was important in this is the unprocessing of food or the cooking techniques which were used while you make the food did not allow the fat to get oxidized to a high temperature. And then that changed the way we started looking at it. And this Indianized way is to tell people that we can modify our diet into Mediterranean diet. If you can manage your fats in your diet very well, start eating fats which are healthy.
Number one, like Geeta said, fats were blamed for a lot until they were able to differentiate between good fat and bad fat. And Geeta used the term good fats, healthy fats, right? Typically unsaturated, polyunsaturated, those fats are considered good. Saturated is not bad, but you can't have too much of it. And the typical ratio of unsaturated to saturated is supposed to be 80-20. Right? About that, 90-10, 80-20 in that range. Okay. So fats are not bad. The second important concept that Geeta made was about this whole omega-3, omega-6. Okay. One of the very interesting things that you will see is that omega-3 has been shown to be a very good correlator and some are arguing causation of longevity. Right. So there is a metric called the omega-3 index. Okay, it's something that some advanced blood tests provide. Okay, omega-3 index in general in India is pretty low. most of us have relatively low omega-3 index because most of us don't eat too much seafood. Walnuts are a good source, but again, how many of us are eating a lot of walnuts? So for that reason, omega-3 index in Indians is relatively low. In the Japanese, on the other hand, is very high. Okay, their omega. So Indians are about 4, 3, 4. In the US, it's about 5, 6. In Japan, it's 10, 12. And if you now compare the health span, the lifespans, there is almost like a 8 to 9 year difference in lifespan between the Japanese and the Americans. Okay, and so that's a worthwhile thing to keep in mind. And the third point that Geeta made is the temperature of the oils. Right, if you take any oil and start heating it up to very high, temperatures, it causes a lot of issues.